why are not advertisers, why are the platforms giving advertisers personal information that they can use to target you? Peter, why is that the case? Today's Not So Critical update.
That's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the fact that they are doing it and they shouldn't, and it sucks. And there was a deposition or something where a renowned privacy expert, whose name I've completely forgotten, was giving evidence to, I think it was the Irish government, and he gave some examples of the kind of data that the advertisers have access to. And I can't actually read off the screen here, but it's stuff like mental history and I don't know, sexual health, and it's just all sorts of stuff that you wouldn't expect. We go, religion and spirituality, like things that you just wouldn't think that other people know about you, or at least wouldn't default to assuming that they know about you. And advertisers can see all of this, and it's terrible. Mike has a different opinion.
So maybe it's a technical distinction, but as an advertiser, it's not like I can say, hey, Facebook or Google, who I'm going to do advertising with, tell me everything you know about Peter Lowe. I don't know whose information this is. These platforms aren't telling me as an advertiser anything about you as a specific person or any specific people in general. What I say as an advertiser is I want to target people who have expressed an interest in social needs kids. And Google says, or Facebook says, hey, we know people who fit that category. So I'll even go further with my argument, but I'll give you a chance to respond.
Without swearing, it's supply and demand. They want this data. If there were two advertising networks, one of them gave all this other icky information, and one just gave the basics, like where you're from and I don't know, some basic metrics, then no advertisers will go with them.
But they're not giving advertisers that information.
But we've seen how trivial it is to de-anonymize a user tracking ID to show what a person searched for. This is not difficult to do. This is like you can totally target an individual.
These are different things. You could target an individual who comes to your site. You can't target an individual that you want to advertise to based on what somebody else knows about them. If I go to Google, I can't say, I want to target John.
You can on Facebook. You can hyper-target. We talked about this before.
But you don't know what set of categories are going to lead you to that one specific person unless you already know who he is and can experiment with every So could I create a data set that's so restrictive I can identify one single person? Sure. But I still don't know who that person is until they do something.
Right. I guess the way I'm looking at it is the reverse. So I know of a person and I want to know their dirty secrets, and trackers are the perfect method to do so, because most people aren't smart enough to use sanitized forms of searches, right? DuckDuckGo versus Google, just as an example. And because of that this is now a treasure trove, and that data lives on practically forever, because why wouldn't it? That just builds a larger and larger profile against this ID. Multiply that by a few billion people, and now we know everyone's bullshit.
I think overanalyzing this situation. If you're an advertiser, Mike, my sexuality is none of your business. That's it.
But if I sell something
there's no reason
that I know
there's no but.
Only people of your persuasion are interested in, why would I show that ad to other people
It's
who are
none of
never
your
going to
business,
care?
and it shouldn't be a sales criterion. It should just be something that is not part of the whole process at all.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with religion, same thing with what we've seen, same thing with vices.
Age.
And we've all seen how wrong, we've talked about this on the show, how wrong this can go. Where I've used this example before, where a weed addict, after looking up things, they wanted to be off of it. They were looking up ways to wean themselves off of marijuana. And instead, now afterwards, they were targeted with weed ads.
Yeah,
That's fucked up. That's just
But
one example.
On the other side of that, as a consumer, I like getting targeted with ads about streaming equipment or triathlon training equipment and courses.
You are an outlier.
I do not think that's true at all. People like to be targeted with ads that make sense to them. They feel like that's a good experience.
I'm not saying it's all the information. I'm saying that there are certain categories, the one that were highlighted in that tweet, that should never be shared or calculated or looked at or targeted. Spirituality, sexual preference, medical history, mental states, age. It just should not be something that advertisers look at and ad networks provide.
But it's a referral. It's not something that advertisers get about a person.
There's different kinds of referrals, mate. If you're interested in audiovisual equipment, that's fair enough to pass that on. Hey, my mate Mike is a bit of a, he spends too long faffing around OBS. Maybe you want to sell him.
But that's the difference. Facebook is not saying my mate Mike. Facebook is just saying you want people who want audio equipment. I happen to know a person who likes audio equipment, so I'm just going to let him know about your offer.
Yeah, that's okay. But
that's what's happening.
Hey, I know this person who's had mental health issues and is bi-curious. That's not okay.
But you're not saying who a person is. You're saying
no, I don't care. It does not matter.
I agree, because we're dehumanizing these people. We're turning them and they are all the products. But I wanted to loop back into something that you said, Mike, which was you like personalized targeted ads. And you know what? You asked me 10, 12 years ago, I probably wouldn't know the difference, because those are the only ads I've ever seen. But when I discovered ad blocking, it enlightened me into a clearer web. And I realized, and I have a point why I'm saying this, I realized how much I despise having all of these results in my search engines and banners on my websites.
Me too.
The problem is that there are hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people out there that do not know better.
Like Mike.
And what?
Like Mike.
Yeah, they don't. No, I use ad blockers. Are you kidding me? I block every ad I can. I'm not stupid. What do you mean? But okay, they don't know any better.
Character.
And then what? They don't know any better. Okay.
We are feeding off the advertisers and trackers are feeding off of their ignorance and using very sensitive information of theirs to sell products.
See, now you're going to make me defend capitalism, right? This is
and you hate doing
You're saying that if I have the ability to put a solution to somebody's problem, a solution that they desperately need, that they deeply want, that they could truly benefit from, that I shouldn't put it in front of them the quickest, easiest, and cheapest way possible.
If I have erectile dysfunction, I don't want a YouTube ad while I'm sitting with my family showing them a video for Viagra. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? By the way, I don't have erectile dysfunction.
I get ads for all kinds of medical shit as it is right now.
Jon is having some problems. So
that's
if anybody knows,
everybody sends Jon.
But that's just one example of, this is it kind of crosses the line of what is okay to advertise to specific people, but as a targeted,
But if I'm going to see an ad there, If I'm going to see an ad, I want to at least see one that I want.
Totally seen political manipulation through advertisements while using the criteria of, they're kind of left leaning, but like also we could probably get them over to the right.
But like Joe Polish says,
it doesn't matter, Mike. It doesn't matter. You keep on making the same point, and you're ignoring the fact that you're assuming it's the same to see an ad about video equipment as it is to see an ad for depressed teens. That's one is okay, and the other is not.
Yeah, I don't think the ad is.
I would say that depressed teen is more important to get it in front of the right person.
Do you know what? There's a movie I caught some of, which is about J.K. Simmons, who plays one of the owners of the opioid big pharma companies, and he defends the fact what they're doing by selling, because they're basically liable for the entire opioid issue.
Pandemic,
whatever, he defends it, and he says that people have a right to pain management, and they should be able to. I'm just selling.
Oh, that's from the new show, Dope Sick.
That's it. Yeah. I think something like that. And so therefore, they're not doing anything wrong at all. That's it seems like the same sort of thing you're saying, Mike. Sorry.
So Joe Polish, I've heard say, marketing is like a gun. It's up to whose hands it's in, whether it's used for good or evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am not inherently anti-gun. I'm a former Marine. I've shot lots of guns. They're fucking cool. That doesn't mean that I think every jackass should be walking around with the AR-15 in the streets of downtown cities dressed up in their little fucking cami pajamas. Like, it's ridiculous, right? They're two totally different things. Should predatory marketers take advantage of vulnerable people? No, absolutely not. But people who are selling legitimately valuable services should be able to get them to the people who need them the most.
I kind of feel like if it was a personal recommendation, not because I know their identity has nothing to do with it. The fact that I know who they are has nothing to do with it. But if I were to say to someone who I know is into video games, hey, there's a new PlayStation game out, that's okay. But if I said, because I knew that they were questioning their sexual identity and let's say not very happy, if I said to them, hey, you should try Viagra or something, or some kind of
okay.
I don't know, anything. Just try some kind of oh god, I can't think of any of the antidepressants. What's it called?
So that's a good example though, because targeting could be used the same way. If I'm selling weed, to go to John's example,
it's not okay for me to say that to
someone. I understand. It's none of my business. But I can use the same marketing in John's example. Let's say I sell weed. I can exclude, using the exact same targeting, people who could be vulnerable to relapse.
Then you should, right? You shouldn't take advantage of, and that's
I totally agree, but I can only do that if I have the ability to do the targeting in the first place.
No, that's a double-edged. That's like a catch-22, because now you're saying marketing is a gun, right? Because you have this ability. You, as a marketer or advertiser, you have the ability to say, I'm going to indiscriminately blast anyone with a keyword weed in the who searched for the keyword weed. Okay, but and they will all be served the same ad, be it if they are sober or they're stoners or they're curious about weed. They're all going to get served this ad. And you're saying, which is bad, and you're saying that you can overcome this issue by being a good advertiser and utilizing certain specific chains in the key in the keywords that say something like weed and sobriety in the same sentence. So you're going to exclude those, right? But the guy next to you doesn't give a shit, and he's going to sell more because he's targeting vulnerable people. So, but here's where I think the line should actually be drawn. Neither of you should have that option because it's fucked up, and instead you should not do targeted advertising.
Second Amendment. Yeah, no, I think to some extent it's like almost a fair analogy. Like I don't think all marketing should be banned. I don't think all guns should be banned. I think there are legitimate uses for both, and people should be free to exercise them, even if we want to restrict how far that goes.
Okay.
Agreed.
I accept your apology.